I am Joy.
And I'm Hugh.
And together we're Afrostylicity. Excited to be here today to share insights into how we diversified our income as travel content creators. Our goal is to inspire you as well as to share actionable steps so you could do the same or better.
So we'll go ahead and start with some background information. I can see some people have some delicious food.
I know. I can smell it from here.
Smells so good. And for those who've already eaten, don't fall asleep on us now. All right, so it all started in 2016. Joy and I, we were in a corporate world. So we launched Afrostylicity, and we had to juggle 9 to 5 and Afrostylicity for some time. And as we grew, we figured out how to successfully transition from corporate environment into 100% travel content creators. We've always focused on showcasing amazing travel experiences and hidden gems, while also showing our audience how you can actually tap into these experiences without going broke. So, Joy, what exactly are we going to talk about?
So we're going to be talking about two of my favorite topics, money and travel, and how to make money as a travel content creator. So we're going to cover why we actually decided to diversify our income and why it is important to do so as a travel content creator. And we're also going to talk about just different opportunities available as a travel content creator. Maybe not all of them may be for you, but just different ideas. And then we'll also talk about, once you've identified what works for you as a travel content creator, how do you measure and adapt to change? So how do you analyze your data and see what's working and what's not? And, just to make sure that you can make the most money. So, as Hugh said, initially you were balancing both working full-time and Afrostylicity was a side hustle. So the main issue that we faced was we were not generating enough money, right? So when we started out initially, it was like gifted campaigns where we work at the hotel and go out there and create content in exchange for like a 2-night stay, right? So that's great, but it doesn't really pay the bills, right? And then over time, we were able to now actually get paid for our brand partnerships, which was awesome, but it was inconsistent because there's some months that we would bring in good money, like 5 figures, and then there were months that were dry. So our goal was always to move from Afrostylicity being a side hustle to it actually being our source of livelihood. So that's one of the reasons why it's important for you to identify different ways to bring in money. So financial instability was one of the main issues why we had to diversify.
So the second layer was specifically around the impact on creative freedom and flexibility. So while we were growing, we would have opportunities where brands would reach out to us and they would want to work with us. So we would be so excited and we would want to move forward, and then we would go to the paperwork. Start taking more of a look into the paperwork, what the specific campaign needs and expectations are, and then would figure out, oh wait, so the brand's vision is not really in alignment with our authenticity, the type of creativity that we have, as well as how we tell our story to our audience. So that definitely led to some challenges around not really moving forward with the brands, as well as a lack of revenue. And then the third layer is really around growth and scalability constraints. So we've always agreed that we would only grow Afrostylicity through the revenue that we brought in. So there were specific tools and resources that we saw, and we knew that once we tapped into investing in those tools and resources, we would be able to scale. But unfortunately, because we didn't have the revenue, we couldn't make those investments. But Joy, what did we do about that?
So as I mentioned earlier, we diversified our income. So our solution was to identify what worked for us as far as different ways to make money. And as I mentioned earlier, primarily when we started, it was brand partnerships. And it was mostly just a social media posts where we would create content and share on our social media platform. And here and there, maybe blog sponsorships, right? So we still do that. But right now, affiliate marketing is the main source of income for us. As I mentioned, we still do brand partnerships, but now we've scaled it to where, in addition to sponsorships, like content that appears on our platforms, so our blog and our social media, we also create content that appears solely on brand websites. So for example, we have worked with tourism boards, and we've written blog posts for them, and they appear on their websites. And also like social media as well, we have created content that appears on their platforms. So it's just look at different ways to where you can upsell yourself. So if a brand has pitched you or you have pitched a brand, just identify different ways that you could extend that and make more money. And then also we have digital products, and we have display ads on the website, and additional things that we do offline, like speaking engagements, freelance writing. So the key point here I'm trying to share is, if you have pitched a brand and you've signed the contract, and perhaps they're paying you for a blog post or social media posts, try and identify ways to where that one piece of content can bring in additional income. So for example, most recently we worked with the tourism board, and the goal was really to promote the destination. So we did that. We created their social media posts, but what we did from that is we also wrote several blog posts just from that one trip. So several blog posts and then we included affiliate links within that blog post. So that's also bringing money, right? So always just trying to identify ways that you could transform just one single partnership to multiple ways that you could bring in money. So something to consider. As I mentioned, we also do other things like UGC, so creating content that's specifically for the brands that appears on their platforms, as well as content licensing. So we have shared images on social media, and the brand will reach out and like, hey, we'd love to repost this on our platform. And we're like, yeah, you can, but you're gonna have to pay a licensing fee. So just ideas for you guys to consider. So yeah, Hugh, you want to talk about the income opportunities?
Absolutely, absolutely. So there are a ton of ways, right, to make money as a travel content creator. We noticed what was working for us, and at the time, before we got there, we went through an experience whereby we figured out we really didn't want to spread ourselves too thin. So just on this slide here, we put together some ideas around income opportunities for you all to consider. We've got it from affiliate marketing to brand partnerships to social media, ads, digital products, and miscellaneous suggestions. So what we have here, I would say, is an amalgamation of a sounding board that you could take a look at, try to figure out what you want to test out, and then you could jump into it. Now, when it comes to testing things out, you gotta use the right strategy to figure out, hey, you know what, how do I actually go to market with this? How do I measure my success? What does that actually look like, right? So, Joy, we got some strategies that we put together that they can pair up with this, right?
Yes, we do. But before I go there, I just want to mention something about affiliate marketing. There are affiliate networks like Travel Payouts is great. That's one that we love to use. And then they're also like independent. So for example, Booking.com has their own independent program, right? So just look at the commission rates, because sometimes they may differ. So you may find that working directly with the brand as opposed to like with their affiliate program directly, as opposed to getting onto an affiliate network like Flex Offers and signing up there, you may see that the commission rate is different. So just do your research, and the goal is to generate as much money as you can, right? So something to consider. But yeah, so strategies for income diversification. So this is what we used to, when we were identifying ways to bring in more money. So the first thing was to clearly define what our USP is, our unique selling proposition. So what is it that we are great at and we could package into a product, or for example, if we're pitching a brand, this is something that sets us apart. And for us, it's like we're a couple, we travel together. So for example, if we have worked on a campaign with couples resorts in like the Caribbean. So our unique selling proposition is that we travel as a couple and we're able to share like his and hers perspective of a destination. So whether it's a digital product that you're trying to create, or you're trying to pitch a brand, or you're trying to identify an affiliate partnership with a brand, that's something very important to start with. And then the next thing is just prioritize and focus on the most promising opportunities. So you may be tempted to like jump on every single money-making opportunity, but not all of them may be for you. So like for us, we quickly discovered that TikTok was not our thing. It just took too much time. And yes, there are people who are making a lot of money on TikTok, but it was not for us. So just identify what makes more sense for you and your brand. And the next thing, just create a content plan that aligns with your income streams. So not sure if you guys are familiar with the whole movement, the de-influencing movement, where people are just really tired of constantly being sold to. So like every other post is oh yeah, this is the best thing ever, this is the best place ever, right? So when you're creating your content plan, just balance it out to where it's promotional as well as non-promotional. But then also when you're creating your content, and perhaps you're trying to promote an affiliate product, right? Just ensure that it just seamlessly flows to, it's not so different. Like if it's an ad, it's not so different from the other content that you share organically. And then yeah, once you're at a point where you're bringing in money and you're able to outsource, please do. Because what that does is it will free up your time to where now you can actually focus on your content strategy or your area of excellence. So we have outsourced some tasks to like VAs, virtual assistants, or if you're interested, maybe a freelance writer. And then automation is helpful, especially like for us, when we're sending emails to our list, we just batch create that so that every week we're not like scrambling trying to figure out, okay, so what are we going to talk about this week, right? So yeah, automation is great. It's going to free up time for you to maybe even think of more ideas to bring in money. And then this is actually one of the most important ones, is you want to nurture the community that you build, because without them, you're not going to have conversions. So this is through like social media, just engage with your audience, with your followers, respond to DMs, respond to comments, and then your email list is also a great way to keep in touch with your audience. And then, as I alluded to earlier, is this: you want to measure your success, see what's working. Maybe you had a grand idea for a digital product, but it fell flat. So just analyze and see what's working, and then adjust accordingly. And lastly, you want to keep up with what's going on. So the travel industry is changing so much, and even content creation is changing. So when we started in 2016, it looks so different from what it looks like now. So just keep up with what's going on. Events like this are great for that. So you maybe someone will walk out of here with like a great idea of a product to create or a brand collab or something, right? So just keep up with what's going on. So that being said, Hugh, what do you think are the key takeaways here?
All right. So instead of nailing down the key takeaways, we decided to just duct tape it for you guys. So before we jump into it, don't be stuck on perfectionism. It's not always going to be perfect. Whatever you have, put it out there. And then once you have it out there, try to figure out, okay, all right, is this receptive? Does the audience like it? Is this, something I want to keep on doing? Or, hey, you know what? Maybe I have to tweak it and improve it. So just jumping in the first one, we've got income diversification is essential for sustainability as a travel content creator. I think that's really the sounding board of our presentation, right? That way you're not just dependent on just one income stream, right? And on top of that, you can always figure out how to recycle one content from a specific engagement in other ways. You can syndicate them on different platforms as well. Next, identify your strengths and what your unique value, the unique value you offer. So obviously, think about what you're doing as a content creator, not just from your perspective, but from your audience's perspective, right? You don't want to always push out sales, sales, sales. If someone was pushing out sales to you every day, you'd be inundated with, hey, I don't really want to see this person try to sell me something every day, right? So think about how you can provide some type of balance, but most importantly, what type of value you offer, right? And also think about it from a brand perspective. Research income stream options and choose a few to focus on initially. Don't spread yourself too thin. Don't try to do everything. Just because you see someone else, is just crushing it on TikTok or some other app, right? Now you think, oh, you know what? Let me go ahead and jump there. But then the reality is, are you also on other apps? So how do you actually want to manage your daily work from a productive perspective? Next, start small and scale up as you gain experience and traction. So just start lean. Again, when we look at the second bullet point, understand your strengths and also understand your weaknesses, right? So make a decision around, hey, you know what? I'm not really good at this. Should I outsource it or should I really try to figure out how to improve? The other conversation that you can have internally is, hey, you know what? Maybe I just need to just turbocharge my strengths, right? And just go all in and just focus on my strengths, right? And then the last, continuously refine your strategy. So we had those ideas, right? You can review those ideas, you can analyze it, test it out, implement it, but more importantly, have a good understanding of what success is for you. Define what success is for you, right? And then once you go to market with whatever strategy, take a look at it, analyze it to figure out, hey, you know what? Is this working? Is this really generating the type of value, engagement, results that brings me closer to where I've determined as success, right? So that really wraps it up.
Yeah, so before we go to Q&A, I just wanted to just add a little background to, I know sometimes, especially if you're starting out, it may seem so unattainable that this is something that you do full-time and actually be your source of livelihood, right? So if I can use myself as an example, so I'm an immigrant kid, and our parents typically have extremely high expectations, right? So you're either a doctor, lawyer, or a loser. So
that's pretty much it.
So when I told my mom that, you know what, yeah, I want to do this full time, and she was like, okay, so you went to grad school for what exactly? But I think I just knew that I wanted more than sitting in a background. I was a nurse, and then I went into management. So I wanted more than just sitting in a cubicle and looking at reports, and I wanted more out of my life. And just something about having to ask for time off out of my own life to go and travel just didn't sit well with me. So I knew we had to make this work. So this is just encouragement, even if it may seem like an unattainable goal. It's not. If I could do it, if we could do it, trust me, anyone can. So on that note, we have our Q&A. Any questions? We'll be more than willing to answer those.
I was going to just add to that as well. So also immigrant as well, like first gen immigrant, I know whatever you want to call it, but the reality is parents had the same view. It's either you're a doctor, engineer, or you're a loser, right? So, after pursuing grad school, when I told my parents the exact same thing, and they said, what? You've invested how much into school? So I went into tech. I was a tech guy for some time, and, after we decided, hey, you know what? We're going to just launch this, we figured out that, unfortunately, there's a lot of bad advice out there, But the reality is, we decided to figure out how to make that transition. Because some people tell you, hey, you know what? If you want to be a travel content creator, if you want to start your own business, just dive in. But the reality is, a lot of us have responsibilities. A lot of us have debt, right? A lot of us have family members that we have to take care of. There's a whole lot on your back that you need to be able to manage, right? So you have to make that calculated decision. So if you currently have a 9-to-5 and you're looking at us, just know that it is possible. You can actually make that transition. And on top of that, if you're brand new into content creation and you meet people and they have millions of followers, millions of views, just remember that they have a story as well, right? And they've been doing that. They've been creating content for a while. So it took them a while to get to where they're at, and you can actually do the same as well. Any questions?
Thank you. Hi, my name is Nevra. I'm from Istanbul. I've been living in Portland for the last 10 years. I'm an immigrant like yourselves too. Same the way grown up, doctor, lawyer, or a loser. I can totally relate to that. Thank you for the great, very well structured and very real presentation. I think we all really appreciate it. I have a small business that I'm trying to grow, and I take people to Turkey every year once for a cross-cultural connection trip. And I have two questions. My first question is about the biggest mistakes or failure story you have and what you learned out of it. This is my first question, because life is too short. We don't have time to learn from our mistakes, and I would love to hear, right, it's really short.
I know, I agree.
No, exactly. So, and the second one is, my biggest part of my own job is mindfulness. I really am struggling to find the balance, like keeping an eye on always on the Instagram, how many followers I have. And then these algorithms and these platforms, they hook you in, they consume you, they drain you. What are your tips and tricks or suggestions for us to keep our sanity and kind of stay away from it, but we have to be in it? That's my second question. Thank you so much for the amazing presentation.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Great questions.
Yeah.
So the first question was about biggest failure. Mm-hmm. We've had a few. I think the first one I can think of is first campaign that was paid. It was a big brand, and we charged like $500 or something crazy like that, and later on found out that other content creators are being paid out like 5 figures. So I think at the time it was a case of not knowing our worth, the value that the value that the brand was gaining by partnering with us. So I would say that was that was a failure, because I think we create great content, but we just, at that time, I guess we didn't know our worth. And can you think of any other failures that you'd like to share? Some are a little embarrassing, but...
No. I think, so that was really one that I would say left an emotional mark in my memory. So essentially, that was one of those where after we had much more of an evaluation post-campaign, we were just scratching our heads like, wait, hold on. Did we really get what we wanted out of this type of relationship? So I think the moral of Joy's feedback is know your value, right? Know your worth and stand on it. Stand 10 toes down on it and just be comfortable with saying no. Because there's some brands that are for you, and there's some blessings for you and there's some blessings for someone else. Yeah,
sure. I think another major failure that I hope no one else has to experience is, so we started with the blog, and then social media took off, so we're getting a lot of social media partnerships, and then kind of forgot about the blog for a little bit. Yeah. I think I wish we had invested in SEO from the very beginning, because having to learn that and master it, just wish we had done that from the beginning. I think we would have been a lot more financially sound earlier on if we had, just because with SEO, like blog posts, we have a blog post that we wrote, like, I don't know, 2-3 years ago that constantly brings us a lot of traffic, right? So can you imagine if we had started with like great SEO from 2016, like our articles would be generating a lot of income based on like display ads and affiliate marketing. So those are two of the big failures, I would say.
And the other thing I'll add to that is, keep in mind, when you're posting content on any social media platform, you don't own it. What you do own is your blog, your email list, right? And the value there from an SEO perspective is it's evergreen content. When people land on, let's say, your handle on whichever social media platform, it's like, well, they have to swim down. They have to scroll down to take a look at the latest post or a post you made last week, last month, last year, right? But more importantly, your blog and your email list is what you own, because your account could get shut down at any time on a social media platform for whatever reason. And hopefully you know exactly who to email, or you know exactly how to appeal, and then you just wait. You just wait, and you rub your hands, and you wait. When it comes to the tech side, I'd say learn how the algorithms work within each social media platform. Because the algos typically change, I would say, every 6 to 12 months. So once you learn how the algorithms work, then you just need to figure out how do you apply that into what you're doing, how you're posting, how you're captioning, the tags you're using, right? So that's what I would add to that, the second question that you had.
Any other questions? Yes.
So with so many different...
Sorry, the mic is coming.
It's coming.
Thanks for sharing with us.
You're
welcome.
But with so many different income generating streams, I know you're supposed to monitor your performance, but how long should you monitor the performance of something that you've posted or a campaign you did before you think, this isn't working, I should switch up a strategy?
So in our experience, specific to like TikTok, I mentioned that TikTok just didn't work out for us. Just noticed that spending too much time on it, as far as like because the videos that work on TikTok may not. Well, the videos that work on Instagram may not necessarily work on TikTok, right? So we noticed we're spending so much time on that. I think it was after maybe several months, and sometimes we post a video like no views, like what? So just. It depends on you. I can't make a blanket statement, right? Just evaluate and see, like, do you actually want to spend more time trying to figure out if this is going to pick up or not? Sometimes it might be just a matter of, so for example, like Google they recently had the Google updates, and a lot of people's blogs, websites were hit, right? Traffic just like tanked. So are you going to give up on blogging because of that? Or are you just trying to figure out, okay, maybe let me figure out what Google actually wants, which is more, they want you to write for people as opposed to writing for a search engine, right? Because a lot of people are keyword stuffing. So it depends, it varies. I honestly can't make a blanket statement, but yeah, just to figure out if it makes sense for you to continue or not. Yeah.
Hey, you talk about knowing your worth and making sure you're commanding the price that you're worth. Do you have any tips or resources on how to research that and figure it out? Because I read conflicting information about follower numbers, engagement numbers, and what's the best way to determine that you're getting paid fairly?
Good question. I think when we started this, all of this, like, money is like shrouded in mystery, especially when it comes to travel content creation. People don't want to talk about money. Yeah. And I think that's the main issue, because we're so secretive about it. Most people don't know what to charge, especially when you're starting out. You don't know that, okay, so I have 5,000 followers, like, what should I be charging? Ideally, it should be what makes sense, like how much time and effort goes into creating the content, right? And what value is the brand getting out of this partnership? So what we do, or what we did in the early days, was a combination of reaching out to other travel content creators who were thankfully willing to share insights into what they were charging, and then we come back and then figure out, okay, so how much time is it going to take to create this content, and like what is the brand getting? So for example, like a blog post, that's evergreen content.
Yeah.
Years from now, people will search, if you're good at SEO, like years from now, people will search that keyword and they will find that content, right? So for blog posts, ideally, we always say charge more for blog posts because that's going to last a lifetime, really. Whereas like social media posts, yes, like Instagram now has, it's slowly turning into a search engine, but social media posts kind of just, as Hugh said, they kind of get lost in the sauce, right, after a while. So specific to charging, I would say just partner up with other travel content creators who are willing to share, like candidly, what they're charging, what their challenges are, and just take it from there.
I'll add a little bit of insight to that. So as a content creator, you are, I would say, you are an amalgamation of skill sets, right?
Yes.
So you're a storyteller, you're a photographer, you're a videographer, and we can keep going. You're a producer, right? We could keep going, right? So something that you can consider is locally, check out photographers, try to figure out how much they're charging for their packages, right? Try to use that as a baseline. Videographers as well, use that as a baseline, and then you just put a worth on, put some type of figure on your worth as a storyteller, and then you can use that whole package as part of your pricing strategy, right? And then you can go from there. You're welcome.
I'm sorry, I forgot to answer your second question. You asked how we're able to separate, how we're able to balance without, like, was it comparing ourselves to?
Yeah, social media, the impact of social media. How do you keep yourself mindful and, detoxify?
I see. Okay, good question. Yeah, so we're in the public eye, but we're very private. So we choose like what we share. You'll never really see us posting our family or anything. So we're in the public eye. So we use, even when we share content, like yes, we engage with our audience, but we don't actively follow and keep up with like celebrities or what other people are doing. Because we noticed, let me speak for myself, initially when I started, I found myself comparing myself to other content creators. Like, oh wow, like she has like, how is she getting so many likes, or how is she getting these brand deals, right? So when I go into social media, I'm in there as a creator, not as a user. And I think that's helped me because I'm not constantly doing the self-comparison game. And yeah, I limit my time on there as well. And that's one of the reasons I got rid of TikTok, because I was on there like at 2 a.m. Not sleeping because I'm over here following some random dog video. But so that's what I do. I just limit my time. We go in there, we post, interact a little bit, get out, and go and do other stuff. So.
Ditto.
So with all the like affiliate platforms, all of those different things, it's too much. So how do you keep track of it? Like how do you organize all of these different platforms on how you're making money? And yeah, what's the like boring admin side of that look like? Yeah.
So see, this is where like being in the corporate space comes in handy. Back in the day, I was a spreadsheet queen. I still am. So we spreadsheet where we keep up with what's like how much we're bringing in. So I think that's one of the reasons why I prefer affiliate networks to affiliate programs, because within the affiliate network, you could see like how much you're bringing in based from all these different programs that you're signed up with. So that's helpful. But then like the individual affiliate programs, for example, like there's certain luggage that we're an affiliate for. It helps to have a spreadsheet to keep up with that. So.
Yeah.
I wish it was something like less boring than a spreadsheet, but that's what we do.
Yeah. And those spreadsheets come in handy, especially when it's time for taxes.
Facts.
Yeah, so if you're managing the boring things the right way, when it's time for taxes, the whole tax season, you can easily prepare for what that interaction is going to be. But if you're not managing all that work correctly, then during tax season, oh man, good luck.
Yeah, you don't want to be audited either, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for the presentation. It's been wonderful.
You're welcome.
Quick question. You mentioned staying abreast of the different changes on the algorithms. I wanted to ask, one, if you have any pointers on how, like if there's something that you use that's giving you, hey, Instagram changed this, or, TikTok changed that. And then I also am curious about how much you're adjusting what you post based on those changes, right? Like if somebody's a photographer and they post photography all of the time, and then Instagram says reels are nothing, right? Or like, are you changing that over to reels? And then if they say, yeah, do these hashtags and only do 30, and this, like how much, with the information that you're learning from the algorithms, how does it change what you post? Are you like, this is my thing and I'm sticking to it regardless, and I'll keep in mind what those changes are? Or, hey, they changed this and now we're going to change that?
Okay.
Great questions.
Good question. So I would say, back home, we have this crystal ball that tells us everything.
If only.
Okay, no, we don't. So the reality is, like, I'll give you an example. When the algo changed to, I would say, prioritize videos, we were really just doing a lot of images at the time, right? So then we decided, hey, you know what? Let's start adjusting to just try to post some reels, more reels, carousels, and so forth, right? So I think it's really much more of one, to figure out what the changes are. I mean, you could just go into Google, search 2024 Instagram algorithm techniques, algorithm updates, right? And you can just, I would say every 6 months, right, do that search. And within YouTube, people typically post videos as well. You have the Instagram, gurus out there, and they'll let you know all that you need to know, even more than you need to know, right? So that's just one way of tapping into the resource of understanding the changes. When it comes to the strategy, as I alluded to earlier, when it comes to what it is that you're doing versus what the algorithm is pushing, you could just test it out. Test it out to figure out, hey, you know what? I already have this going on. How can I infuse those changes to my current content strategy and how I engage with my audience, as well as, hey, on the side, I'm going to try out maybe 1 or 2 posts per week that are specific to what it is that has changed. And then determine how long you want to measure, both tracks around the value that is generated.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that as well. You can actually get on a phone call with Meta. So if you have Facebook and an ads account, you can actually get on a call and speak to an actual human. So it's really helpful to, especially if you run any ads, sometimes they fall flat. But if you have an actual person guiding you and telling you, hey, actually you need to choose this type of campaign. So that's an idea. And as far as if we've had to adjust, so Instagram is not our primary. So our primary has always been our blog. Yep. So whatever we do, we always try and drive traffic there. So even our social media, we always try and drive people to our blog because that's what we own, and that's brings us passive income, right, with display ads and all that. So, and just to bring it full circle, that's why it's great to have more than one source of income. So if you're not totally dependent on social media, even when they have these algorithm updates and all, you still have money coming in from these other sources. So just food for thought.
That's such a great point, because you can actually tap into YouTube support as well. You can get in touch with YouTube and you have a professional provide any kind of support, from, hey, how do you use the tool, to, hey, what are some of the changes that just took place within the past couple months or so? Yeah.
For the recording. Hey guys, have you guys ever boosted a post on social media? And if so, like, what were the results from that?
They sucked. They sucked. But I'm just being honest. Like, I don't know, but it seems like more and more Instagram is trying to get people to pay to play. Yep. But it's not very, I would say the results were not great. Maybe you have to spend more money to actually get, and it depends on what you're trying to get. You're trying to get like people to like your post, or you're trying to drive them to your website. It really just varies. We have some content creator friends who say they've seen good results with, like when they post on Facebook and they have a link to the blog post there and they boost that, they see good results with that. We haven't seen great results with boosting posts on, like, let's say Instagram. in our experience, maybe. And we're not ad experts either, so maybe if you spoke with like a Facebook representative and they walked you through the best approach to take as far as what campaign objective to choose, maybe that may be helpful.
Yeah, and introspectively speaking, what's the intent, right? You have to ask yourself, what's the intent I'm boosting, and what is the ideal or the desired result that you're looking for?
Any other questions? Don't be shy.
Got one down here.
Here too.
Okay.
What are the digital products that you guys are selling?
So right now we just have one. Sometimes we have seasonal ones, seasonal activities like holiday stuff. But right now we have one, which is a guide to travel hacking. So using miles and points to travel. So how we decided on creating that product is we used to get a lot of DMs from our followers, like, how are you able to travel so much, blah, blah, blah. So we decided to just package it into a product. And this ties back to what I said earlier as far as determine your unique selling proposition. What is it that you are great at, people are asking you questions about, that you could package into a product or something that you're selling. Yeah.
The GOAT travel hack. That's what it's called. The greatest of all time travel hack.
I think you had a question, right?
Down here.
Hi, thanks for your presentation. I was just wondering, how do you go about envisioning the future for your brand? And do you have any big projects coming up?
Could you repeat the first half, please?
How do you envision the future for your brand, like when you're doing like medium to long-term planning? Like now that you've already diversified, what are you thinking of next?
Oh, great question. So, as mentioned, we're immigrants. I am originally from Kenya, and Kenya is beautiful. And you guys, if you haven't been, please go.
Okay, Kenyan down. Yeah, there we go. Where's the room?
So, we're really trying to just change how people view Africa as a travel destination. And when I tell people, hey, I'm Kenyan, they're always like, oh, I want to go on a safari. I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. Highly recommend it. But there's really so much more that Kenya has to offer. We have beautiful beaches. There's so much that is within the continent of Africa, right? So our overarching goal, like our big goal, is to really create more content that will inspire people to purchase those tickets and go to Africa as a continent. Africa is a continent or a country. Go to Africa. So yeah, that's one of our goals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other questions? No. Okay, so we love creating memorable moments, and we wanted to go ahead and create one right now with a selfie. All right? You guys ready? Let's do this.
You say TravelCon.
Yeah, so in 3 seconds, we all say TravelCon. All right? Come on, Dre. All right, y'all. In 3, 2, 1, TravelCon!
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, y'all.